Every Man's Miracle, an unpublished manuscript by Louis B. Polk Jr. Narration by Louis B. Polk III. Introduction. I have been aware, as many others have, that our Catholic Parish High School of religion classes on Sundays have recently taught much love of neighbor to the neglect of love of God, which I believe should be a happy blend of both, with the emphasis on love of God. I believe our High School of religion classes should teach those things that would provide adult answers to questions from non-Catholic friends. After all, we expect all Christians should be part evangelists. How can our young people become evangelists or even defenders of the faith with a grade school religious education and a Catholic high school of religion class that doesn't increase their understanding of church doctrine? I feel a strong personal responsibility to educate my own children about God, and I also have a desire to share with others what the Lord has shared with me. This attempt at writing seems to be the best method to do both. Also, I believe this material will be useful to the parish religious discussion group. I like to think of this theological writing as solid food compared to the milk of magnesia type information my young adults are being taught. Everyone who believes in God would like to witness a genuine miracle to do away with doubts and confirm their faith. A person may be tempted to think, I wish that I were alive at the time of Christ so that I could actually see the miracles he performed. Those people who lived at that time and saw the miracles were lucky. It was easier for them to believe and to develop a lively faith. While it is true that witnessing one or more of Jesus' miracles can be a very great blessing, I personally fear that if I were alive at that time, that I might very well have been among those who threw rocks at Jesus. Witnessing a miracle is not all that we might imagine. While being initially greatly impressed, a person can allow such an event to fade from the memory, and after a long time entertain doubts that it really happened at all. What seems to be needed in order to keep a lively and active faith is a good miracle every 2 or 3 years or so. God has a better idea. He has presented with us a continuous miracle that can be looked at from all sides and at any time of every day. This miracle is the sacred scriptures. The relationships between the Old Testament and the New Testament are so profound that the hand of God is clearly seen. The scriptures were written by many men over a very long period of time, and no man understood how any of the Old Testament prophecies were to be fulfilled. Now that we live after the fact of many of the fulfilled prophecies, we can look back and know that the scriptures were really written by men who were truly inspired by God. Although there were many prophecies by many men, there was one mind inspiring it all, the mind of God, because the fulfillments were so perfect. To predict a future event and to have it come true is no big deal, but to do it many, many times and never be wrong is miraculous, especially when great detail is also prophesied. The prophecy by word and the prophecy by event of the Old Testament with its subsequent fulfillment in the New Testament is truly every man's miracle. I plan to present an overview of speculative and general theology with some scriptural interpretations that may startle more conventional theologians. I will try to answer some of the questions that have been asked by my teenagers with the thought that many Christians, young and old, have asked the same questions. This is a small book because I've left out all the superfluous embellishments and attempted to relate only the meaty ideas of my theology while avoiding philosophy. I'm not writing to the learned theologians, but to the average Christian. I know that because God is infinite, a person cannot say very much about him in any particular aspect without eventually drifting off into error. However, my speculative theology is intended to provoke thought and possibly provide a platform from which one may move closer to the truth. I have the angels discussing salvation with God and telling him how to do it. This is ridiculous, but I find that it is very helpful in explaining the magnificent genius of God in the things we regard as commonplace, and in explaining the way he has accomplished our salvation. Bible quotations are from the New American Bible or the Dewey version as indicated.